The class fighter, their hit dice is a D10. Their special traits, one of them is fighting style. That is just the original fighter style. I just like swords, sword and shield, dual wield, bow and arrow. Their second special trait is second wind. They can regain 1d10 of hit points. Their third special trait is action surge, and they can take one more action after they take their first action. Their last special trait is indomitable, and they can re-roll a saving throw. Their paths are champion, that's the traditional fighter, the one that goes like full on clashing and everything. And then they have battle master, like the general who orders everyone around. And the eldritch knight, a mix between just swords and sorcery. And that's about it for a fighter.
So you have the barbarian, another class. The hit dice is a d12. Your special traits are rage, which is where all of your stats are boosted, pretty much. You have unarmored defense, where you have a better attack whenever you have no armor on, where your constitution bonus is added to your AC, your armor class. Reckless attack is where you do a full force attack and you pretty much just charge head first into battle with your sword, and then your armor class is slowly shaved off. Then you have danger sense, where you kind of like Spidey sense. You sense danger around you of like a trap or a spy. Brutal critical is where if you get a critical damage, then you get to re-roll your more damage again. Then you have your paths. Berserker warrior is pretty much the classic Viking. And then the totem warrior, which you have to choose that boosts your rate. Both paths give you extra rage, but the totem warrior splits off into 3 other smaller paths: bear, eagle, wolf. Each of them giving you a different rage bonus. And that's just about everything for the barbarian.
Rangers are classes as a class in D&D in which you can play as, and you can have your hit HP is basically is considered by a D10, and there's some special traits you can have. One of them is the favor enemy trait, which allows you to look at an enemy, or an orc, you pick an orc or a goblin or something like that, and you say that's what I favor. And whenever you're tracking it or fighting it, you get bonuses tracking or fighting it. There's Natural Explorer, which allows you to basically, if your ranger is a forest guy, he knows how to get through the forest really fast, and desert, he knows where the water holes are, and the mountains, the roads, and so forth and so forth. Fighting style allows him to pick how he fights, where basically he could be one-handed sword, or he could be two-handed knife, or it could just be both. Now, there's also spell casting, which allows rangers to do nature spells. And there's also hide in plain sight, which gives bonuses to the ranger and hiding, basically in their said terrain type. So forest, ghillie suit, sand cloak in the desert. And there's also glance ride, which in non-magical difficult terrain, he has no extra move penalties going through. Now, he also there's where it splits up is where Hunter is basically colossal, giant, and horde creature like hordes. He can find them with ease, and he's like the guy you would go to hunt him down and kill him. Beastmaster is basically a lighter version of the druid, but doesn't really have as many nature spells, and basically has like a German Shepherd and can like basically guess German Shepherds or maybe a pet lion or something to put the enemy it with. But that's it. Yeah, that's it for Ranger.
The monk, its hit dice is a D8. The special traits is no armor, which means that they don't wear any armor at all. The second one is martial arts. It allows them to master the like combat styles. The third one is ki, which allows them to master the mystic energy of ki. The fourth one is deflect missiles. They can use their action point and they can spend that to deflect or catch missiles, like magic missile, something like that. And slow fall, that's their fifth one. It can just reduce their fall damage instead of them taking a bunch of fall damage. Evasion, it allows them to like sidestep or just get out of the way of like things like coming at them. Speed, it just means that monks are faster than any other classes of anything. And so their paths is open hand, which means basically it's their Jackie Chan, like the normal like martial arts guy. The second one is Ways of the Shadow. It's kind of like a ninja. They're very stealthy and they can lurk in the shadows and not be seen. The third one is the Four Elements. It's kind of like the four airbenders, where they can master all the traditional four elements of like earth and fire and water and air. And that's pretty much it for monks.
So a druid, it has a D8 for its hit dice. The special traits are they have spellcasting. They have wild shape, which allows them to transform into any natural animal. No dragons, no wyverns, no griffins, any of that. Then they have ritual casting, which is it doesn't take up a spell slot, and it's casting without spell slots. Then they can only wear natural armor, like wood, leather, no plate mail, no chain mail, because it messes with their casting. Then they have they had druid circles instead of paths. So moon, it's the great defender of the wild. They don't like civilization. They're trying to like kill it. And then they have terrain types for a different one. It's terrain types, and that's like mountain, Arctic, coast, desert, any of those. And the terrain type gives them magical spells that allow them to, they only help in their terrain, and they are trying to defend that terrain that they choose. So there you go for druids.
The cleric is a playable class in D&D in which you you have a D8 for HP, and you have traits where the traits are the spell casting, where you basically cast your spells like usual. There's also divine domains, which basically is where you get your first few spells, where basically is the general term for domains, divine domains. There's channel divinity, which is basically undead, and you can turn undead, destroy undead, and command undead. But turning them and commanding them requires you to be evil. Then you can pick a deity, which allows you to basically pick your religious faction. You can also pick a domain. A domain, there's 6 domains. There's nature, life, light, tempest, trickery, and war. And the cleric is basically the religious person, as you can tell, and also the healer. And And that's it. That's what the clerk is.
So rogues, they have a D8 for their hit dice. Their special traits are expertise, and that's where they have the most skill. They have the biggest skill set out of all other classes. They have sneak attack, giving them an advantage to any opponent that really doesn't know they're there. And they have thieves' cant, which is a special language that all thieves know, allowing them to communicate without anyone else knowing. Uncanny dodge is where they can dodge a hit that they can see coming. Cunning action, they can do a sprint and hide away, like just run and sprint, run and hide. So then they have evasion, allowing them to reduce their damage from any reflex save. Reliable talent, which is where they can never get anything lower than a 10 on any saves.
Skill check.
On skill checks. And their paths are thief, assassin, and arcane trickster. Arcane trickster being a magical thief. Thieves with magic. And then there's thief. The burglar or spy every day. So assassin is your Assassin's Creed. So there's everything on rogue.
The wizard is a playable class in D&D, which is like the basic, in movies you see this one guy casting spells and all that. Dumbledore, Gandalf, he's the guy who casts spells. Basically, the HP is a D6. They also have traits like any other class. They have spell casting, which allows them to use spells, all that. They have ritual casting, which basically allows them, it takes 10 minutes longer, you still need the materials, but you can still cast the spells, but it doesn't want to take the spell slot. Now, there's also spell books. Spell books are basically where you keep your spells for casting. And there's arcane recovery, which is basically where first and second level spells are recovered whenever you're stressed. There's also arcane tradition. Now, arcane tradition basically is you go to a college of abjuration, conjuration, divination, and there's a lot more. And trust me, if you're gonna become a wizard, check it out, read it, like keep reading it, because that stuff is crazy. I used to do fireballs everywhere. Then I learned there's other spells, so you gotta keep watch out. Anyway, that's it. That's a wizard.
So your paladin is your classic holy warrior. He has a D10 in his hit dice. His special traits are divine sense, which is he can sense an evil presence around him. He has lay on hands, which is he has healing touch. He can like heal you with touch. And then his fighting style. It's pretty much the way he fights. That's another one of his special traits. He has spellcasting. He doesn't have a lot of spells, just a couple. There's divine smite, which is where he uses a spell slot to, he does extra damage to evil creatures. And divine health, he can't get sick. There's aura of protection, where anyone within 10 feet of the paladin has an armor class modifier only if the paladin is wielding a shield. There's aura of courage, where anyone within 10 feet of the paladin cannot be scared. Then instead of paths, they have sacred oaths, and that's like the oath of devotion, patience, and vengeance. The vengeance is the wandering judges, pretty much, and their agents is where that's like the old ancient elven knights. Then devotion is the holy order of knights, and that's the paladin.
The Bard is a playable class in D&D in which basically is the entertainment guy, the entertainer, or maybe the battle drum guy, and they have hit HP of a D8 per level. They have the trait of spell casting up to 9th level now, and it has ritual casting, which allows them to do 10 minutes to cast. You need materials, like always, and there's Bardic Inspiration, which in 30 feet, you have a 1d6, you can roll, has inspiration of 1d6 within 30 feet with anyone around you. Now, there's also Jack of all trades, which allows you to get skill bonus to any roll you make. Then there's Stronger Breast, which gives you 1d6 HP back. There's also Expertise, which helps you, kind of like a thief, you have multiple skills. There's also the Font of Inspiration, which basically gives you back the Bardic Inspiration you used. And now there's Counter Charm. Counter Charm affects anyone within your voice, hearing distance of your voice, sorry, to basically be blocking any attempt of influence of the mind. There's also Magical Secrets, sorry for stuttering, and you can pick up to 2 spells from any list, meaning Cleric, Wizard, Sorcerer, and Bard. All 4 are open game, any 2 spells within your reach. And there are 2 colleges. One is the College of Lore, basically meaning the entertainer, and there's the College of Valor, which is basically a combat drum guy. And that should be it about the Bard.